What's going on, kids? Y'all know what time it is, man. It's your boy, Big Drewski, and welcome to another edition of Space Bucket Growing with Drewski, brought to you by Rain Man Space Bucket Micro Grows, the Space Bucket source for you to get your space bucket to start growing your own cannabis, just like we do over here at the Elevated Lifestyle offices. So if you click on the link in their Instagram, you'll see a link that goes to their Etsy store. You're going to see the Jabberwocky or the Rain Man model, the Beast, whatever we like to call it, but it's the Rain Man model space bucket. Comes with two 80 millimeter fans, a 180 watt UFO LED, and additional spacers for you to get started for a small investment of $199.99 plus shipping and handling fees. But you can always make sure you go to Rain Man Space Bucket Micro Grows on Etsy and check out their store. Here's the update that I have for you guys today. We're entering week 3 of flower, which is crazy. It's already been 3 weeks. Feeding it nectar of the gods nutrients. We just did a watering today. Looks tomorrow we'll probably feed again. Plant has shot up a couple of more inches in height. We've got some of the lower colas that are stretching out very nicely towards the light. We have to employ the tuck method today. Like I said earlier, I don't want to do a whole lot of defoliation on this plant, so I really didn't clip too much. I took off all the spacers, and I really just did some of the lower portion of the plant, the stuff that's really like on the very bottom. Anything that's more top heavy, it's spaced out and chunky enough for me to, I think, get away with not defoliating, because most of this looks like bud sites, just with, some stretching that's gone on in the past week here or so. But everything's looking really good. There's no nutrient deficiencies at all. We've been using smaller amounts of nutrients from the Nectar for the God sample pack. I've been using a 1/4 teaspoon of each of the 7 nutrients that we have in the plant. Sorry about all the ums. I'm just trying to freestyle this one here. Doing that, I noticed from the last grow when we first started using nutrients that there was a lot of newt burn, newt lockout, things of that nature, and we were really doing a lot of damage to these plants. Now, knowing that less is more when it comes to this, we're actually starting to see it in the grow. So I like how this plant's starting to look. Like I said, no deficiencies at all. Very, very, very minimal, if at all, any deficiencies. There's little itty bitty yellow tips, but other than that, like, everything's nice and green. Purple stems, purple scattered throughout the main cola. It's a really beautiful plant. So right now, we're just looking at spots to where we think we can increase light, which will increase yield overall. And so there's a couple of leaves on here that, even though we've employed the tuck method, I do believe that we're going to clip them anyways. It might be later on in the future. And when I say later on in the future, I mean in a couple of days. We're going to see how this goes with the tuck method. If the tuck method works, and I want to keep dealing with it, I'll probably keep all the leaves that are on this plant. And if you've seen it at @whatarewedoing_podcast, you'll see what I'm talking about. when it comes to how bushy this plant is. There's a lot of growth, thanks to the LED lighting and the nutrients that we've been using. We've been using nutrients since day one. There is a regimen for all the nutrients used in a specific manner. There's some that are used for seedling clone stage. There's nutrients used for veg, and then there's nutrients used for flower. So we're using flower nutrients. We're using a enhancer, not really enhancer, but we also have some full on. But just in case you don't know what we're using the Nectar for the Gods sample pack. They shoot you 7 key nutrients that will help in nutrient delivery. It helps in stimulation, soil supplements, all of that nature. So we have Athenas amnias, which says soil drenched in hydroponics. It has 0.5% nitrogen, and it's derived from protein hydrolysate. There you go. But there's that. Athenas amnias, Gaiamania, Herculean Harvest, Demeter's Destiny, Medusa's Magic, Zeus Juice, and Bloom Chaos. The Bloom Chaos can be used as a foliar spray up to your 3rd week of flower. And then you can also use this as a straight to the soil feed as well, by mixing it in with your nutrients. 1/4 teaspoon do you just fine. You'll see that you'll have more bud sites, more swelling, whole lot of stuff. So make sure you're using the Bloom Chaos with all your other nutrients, and then once you get your regimen down, you can actually sample, because these are organic nutrients, and you can make your own little recipe to get the best yields that you can get with these nutrients. So once again, shout out to our sponsor, Rainman Spacebook at Micro Grows, for also providing us with the nutrient kit that we have. And, to the good friends who provided us with the Tinkerbell seed, we're looking good. I believe Tinkerbell's Revenge, this will be the only Tinkerbell's Revenge in Vegas. In a few days, hopefully. I haven't checked. I should be receiving something in the mail, which means I'll be doing another update for you guys, because we are going to be getting into cloning as well. So we're going to clone Tinkerbell's Revenge here. I know it's almost done. Week 3? So then we have January. So yeah, like I said, February harvest and cure to smoke. We should be looking good if this thing doesn't pop off and just start fattening up and producing trichomes and all that good stuff on me early. That being said, I'm also going to do something that we've seen with Stax's Grow, and what we're going to do is we're going to implement splitting, an old method used by cannabis growers in ancient times, current times. But if you know anything about splitting, what you're going to do is you're going to tie off your very bottom of your main cola, in a fashion where you have a tie off at the very first node and a tie off pretty much at soil. And then what you're going to do is you're going to simply cut right down the middle and split open your branch. Now you're going to keep it that way by jamming something in between that's not going to break, but it's going to just wedge in between and keep it split, so that way it doesn't reheal itself. What that's going to do is, at the last couple of weeks of your flush, what you're going to do is you're going to employ the splitting method, and you're going to get more trichomes to push out to the very tops of these plants, and it's going to produce more flavor. It's going to extract all the nutrients it can and push them all the way to the top before you actually chop the plant. So we're about 7, 8, no. I'd say 7 weeks until everything's done. 7 weeks isn't a long time. 7 weeks will actually go by really, really fast. I'm looking forward to it, especially with the way this plant's coming out and the fact that I'll have a cloner on the way. So the cloner mixed in with the 135 watt Galaxy Hydro UFO LED that we have, that with the LED spacers, because I am fixing the Rain Man model LED spacer. I did have a short. I believe it's a power source. Still don't know what's going on. But what I'm going to do first is employ another power source that will plug in. If that's the case, we're fine. I'm not going to do no unstripping and soldering and all that crazy mess. I'm just going to do a new power source, and we're going to get that thing to working, especially if we can get it going during the last portions of flower to where everything's fattening up and all this stuff's going on. That would be awesome. I wanted to use it throughout the grow, the last 2 months, especially when we're in flower. My next plant, I'm thinking about keeping in veg a little longer just to get it taller. I want to see how tall I can get one of these plants. And so if I keep a plant in veg for about 2 months and then flip it to flower and see what happens in 2 more months after that, I think we should have a pretty big plant. A lot of bud. For now, a month of flower in, a month of veg. We got another month of flower that we're looking to complete, and I think we should be good to go. But we've got a height update. We've done some defoliation. We employed the tuck method, and we're still thinking about cutting leaves at this point. So that's the update. I know you hear the whir in the background there. That's the space bucket performing at optimal capacity there, you know. Fans running nice and strong. No light leaks. Everything's nice and gravy. The only thing I did have to do was switch out from using the LED spacer as spacers, just to keep more light in, because there are small spots to where light does leak out. It's not anything to affect it, but it's more for aesthetics of the grow room, not too much light shining out so nobody knows what I'm doing here. But I'm getting ready. I'm getting ready for a nice harvest. I can already tell. So just keep in tune, everybody. If you are listening, please subscribe on the Spreaker network. You can find Space Bucket Growing with a Drewski on Spreaker. You can also find us on Google Play Music. You can find us on iHeartRadio and Stitcher Radio, or you can look us up via Stitcher Podcasts. That's Space Bucket Growing with Drewski on any one of those platforms. So you guys, I need you to like, subscribe, tell me your favorite episode, get that going in. We do have something special in the works. We'll let you guys know in the upcoming months. We've got things that we're pushing and planning. Like I said, this thing is not just about cannabis growth. It's about our growth as a business, and the Elevated Lifestyle brand is branching out. So we're getting ready for our first live show. We're going to be doing a live podcast. We'll tell you the dates as soon as we get that up. But we're going to be doing a live podcast at an event. It's going to be pretty dope. We got vendors getting involved. All the info is coming up right now. Really transparent on the show. So I like telling you guys this stuff to look forward to it with us. You know what I mean? So follow us on Instagram at whatarewedoing_podcasts. follow us individually at Drewski702, DRUSKI702 on Instagram, Stax510, STAX510 on Instagram. You can follow me on Twitter at 702TATTED_APLUS. 702 Tatted A plus. You can follow me on Snapchat, Drewski702. Tried to keep that name pretty consistent for you guys to follow and see what we're doing everywhere. So I'm going to get to vaping on this Atman OWAR wax pen loaded up with some shatter here that I've got from our friends in California. Shout out to the friends, super friends. We loved you, man. I've been smoking this for a little bit now, and this shatter is the business. That mixed in with a little bit of crumble. You know how we do. If you guys want to hear reviews, actually I have the time, so we're not going to get out of this just yet. This is going to be my first review on the podcast. Now, the Atman OWAR wax pen was provided to me by a friend, so I did not buy this brand new. It's not out the box. Cool things about it that I've noticed. Very bottom of this thing unscrews, and you have a small silicone container for your dabs that you can, load up for on the go, screw it right on the bottom, and you've got a nice smell-proof container to hold portable dabs in while you're out on the go. Now, this mouthpiece and this coil is actually quite large, larger than the Yukon Evolve wax pen that I also have in hand. It's pretty thick. This reminds me of the Kangertech Space Jam battery that they sell at Circle K's and stores like that. It's from Kangertech, but this one, the battery is similar in that nature and how thick it is. It also reminds me of the Kangertech mouth-to-lung vape device that I've reviewed before on YouTube. But the coil that's inside here, it's a triple quartz coil with a ceramic bowl. Really, there's 3 heat settings that are really, really good to get your dab on. Green is going to be high, yellow is going to be mid-range, and red is actually the lower of all the 3 settings. So green's going to be your high temp setting. Mine, I'm only working with like 1.5 coils, so it really puts all that power into one coil, creating a really hot dab. But that's if you repeatedly are hitting the button trying to get all the wax you can out of this thing. It's nice and lightweight though. I like it. It fits in the hand very comfortably. The mouthpiece is plastic, like a silicone mouthpiece, easily cleanable. Another cool thing about this, I believe you can clean out these coils, get your nice little alcohol swab, wipe everything down, set it to dry, you'll be good to go. The Yukon Evolve pen, the coil you can actually saturate in alcohol, sit, soak, clean, set to dry, and then reuse without having to buy a new coil. So upsides and downsides, new coils versus cleaning coils, but hey, it's all in user preference. If you can clean these OWAR coils, that's awesome. Don't know, like I said, didn't get it out the box, so I didn't get any instructions with this thing, but I'm reviewing it out of pure curiosity. Have been using it, though, despite the single coil action, it still does melt down and heat up very quickly. Like I said, despite the single coil, you still get a really, really nice dab out of this. It is a little on the hot side though. And you can feel it when you do the inhale and then you exhale out. I don't usually cough this much. And that was a small dab of some shatter through the Atman OWAR wax pen. You can find them on Instagram at Atman Vaporizers. They do like and follow and respond. Man, this rip is killing me here. But they do like, follow, and subscribe on social media. They are very social media conscious. So shout out to Atman Vaporizers for providing a quality product even when part of it is defective. When I got this device, it was kind of bizarre because the person I got it from was like, it's not hitting. I'm like, what do you mean it's not hitting? And I looked at it and there's literally this glob of just melted wax and clumped up unmelted wax just sitting on the coil. So what I did was I gave it a full charge, and then I just burned out everything that was in here. Once I got it to a point where I could actually see the coils, grabbed some Q-tip, got the rubbing alcohol, and proceeded to clean the coils. And that's where I got a better hit out of it. I also noticed that the splash guard that they give you sits right on the mouthpiece when attached. So that's another thing that was really preventing you from getting a really decent hit out of this thing was the splash guard. So that's one thing I kind of do recommend for anybody with this. Don't use the splash guard. As you can see, as soon as you get your device and you open it up and you see it sitting right on the mouthpiece, you know you're not going to get a real nice, decent, big hit out of it like you'd like to. So that's one of the things I noticed. I don't use the splash guard. I just go straight from the coil to the lungs. And like I said, it smokes this shatter pretty well. I've got some crumble I've smoked out of here as well. If it wasn't for the coil damage, this thing would probably be my everyday carry. Right now I'm carrying the Yukon Evolve. And that's just because both coils work. Sad thing is I have to carry another container. I like the convenient fact of being able to load my container that the vape comes with on this with enough wax to get me through the day, probably through a couple of days. I'm not a real big, I'm trying to get super stoned high person. I do medicate, microdose myself all day while growing cannabis. But that's what we do at the Elevated Lifestyle offices. We are about cannabis culture, and part of cannabis culture are portable smoking devices. So that was an update on Tinkerbell's Revenge and our first review of products. That was the Atman OWAR vaporizer in red. I have the one in red. If you guys seen it on the Instagram, check it out at whatarewedoing_podcast. Check out our sponsor at Mostly Safe and the number 8. That's Rainman Space Bucket Micro Grows on Instagram. You get to see their space buckets and get yourself one. Other than that, follow myself and Stacks on Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, and all the other social media platforms. Stream this podcast on any of your favorite streaming platforms and have a great rest of your day.